Okay, so do you have a copy of this?
I do not. Can I look at it?
Well, yeah. Format your copy or?
Oh, I see. Are you kidding me, Dina?
What is
You
this?
can use mine for the purposes of this meeting, how's that sound?
We shall
You can give me
share.
another one some other day.
I'll share with you.
These the referendums from the planning board?
2 of them are.
These are all proposed referendums for the ballot.
Okay.
You want me to take the vote on this, don't you?
No, I don't even know if that they're even going on. That's what we kinda, I mean, I guess you can at the same time. I mean, could take the vote on them. Cause you're so short on time.
Right.
But I don't know that we know everything that's on here yet.
Do you want to read it? No, you don't want to read it.
No, that's what you get paid for.
Yeah, you could read it.
Oh, you want me to read it? I see how it goes.
You make more money than I do in here, so.
Do you need input on the 2 planning board ones?
Yeah.
When
yeah, I think,
Okay.
I haven't even got a chance, I guess they're
Alright.
coming
These
up
are the
first.
first ones, yeah. So referendum 1, shall the town of Lebanon vote to amend the Lebanon shoreland zoning ordinance to
Okay.
eliminate a discrepancy between the current ordinance text and map so as to include all FEMA mapped flood hazard areas in the resource protection zone and to clarify the method of defining limits of the shoreline zoning districts.
Slide over more.
This has got the, no it doesn't. Because it has the actual wording of the
Hey
ordinance.
Ben,
on
we
it,
don't
but
have
it
to
does,
vote on this, do we?
We
There's
do
no
need
money.
an ordinance. I will
We
need
vote on
have to
everything.
vote?
We vote on everything.
You're not the budget committee anymore,
Do you have
Paul.
formal amendments? Okay.
Yes, we do.
This is that?
They're on there.
Okay.
I thought, well, you guys were emailed all an attachment.
Yeah.
Why did I?
I saw something come to me and Sue, and then Sue
Yeah,
just.
and on the shoreline one, it's as previously set. There's no changes. Well, that's very strange. I have only the question, I don't have the actual amendment. That's pretty simple. It's what we discussed about the FEMA flood zones. The map right now conflicts with the text of the ordinance. We worked this all out with a lawyer, and we want to strike the phrase from the existing ordinance that you don't have it to look at.
Oh, I had my big book. I could have kept it.
Yeah. Oh, I have it. Hang on just a minute. I lugged this around for a reason.
My red pens have disappeared again.
Yeah, I would like
Everybody
one.
close your eyes. Oh, they're gone. My secret stash is gone too.
On that list
Oh,
and
no.
attached to the emails
Okay.
I sent, there is a copy of the actual amendment, and it's coming back exactly of the,
And it has the
I wanna
strike
think
through.
that was-
yes, it's
and
right,
the
it's
underline.
redlined by the attorney.
Okay.
Here's the change. All right, what it says right now, floodplains along rivers and floodplains along artificially great ponds along rivers. Rivers is a legal term. Remember, it's just the Salmon Falls and a little spud of the lower end of Little River. Nothing else in town is a river, no matter what we call it. Defined by the 100-year floodplain. Okay, here's the thing. As designated on the FEMA Emergency Management Agency's maps. Now, when Corner Post did the map for the shoreline zoning ordinance, they didn't match the map to this. They mapped all the FEMA mapped floodplains. Planning board worked on this and worked on this and worked on this. We have had many cases in which the landowners, fine, we're in that zone, we'll go along, and they worked out fine. We've had one very, very contentious major case that's still pending on the argument map versus text. We've also collected 2 different town attorneys, DEP, everybody, map versus text, map rules. That's just, and one case doesn't want it, but we're not here about that case. We went over and over and over how to remedy it. Short, hopefully, of paying to have a whole map redrafted. And then as it turns out, the planning board decided, collectively, unanimously, after a lot of work, What we would like to see, and it's legally permissible, strike out the line that limits it to the Great Pond and River exposure and just make all the floodplains a resource protected zone. On the idea that by virtue of being a floodplain, they're subject to flooding, which is going to wash any accumulated pollution right into the watershed. And that is also done by some towns, and the town attorney in this last ping pong game, absolutely no problem. She wrote it up. The guy who did the map and didn't match it to the text, at the end of a lot of planning board meetings that he was at, he finally said, you know, the easiest thing to do is just strike that language, and then your map matches the text. Now, there's another reason we feel for doing this. In about 15 months, year and a half, there's a whole new FEMA map going to go into effect, and those districts will change somewhat. There are in this town only a couple that are going to change substantial acreage. Most of it's just going to be adjustment of the channel lines along the brooks and streams. By making it all FEMA mapping, then what we get is kind of an automatic transferal to the new FEMA map. But it still won't match our existing map, because the existing map's done on the FEMA basis, which is going to be replaced. But at least our ordinance then will verbally be consistent. It'll be a step forward.
So,
why not redo the map? Forget about the cost. Let's just say, okay, you know, we got an angel to pay the cost. Because both FEMA flood mapping and Maine shoreline zoning program are in change right now. So it doesn't make any sense to go have a new map done within a year or two. We'd have to turn right around and have another one done to comply with the state program and FEMA. That's the story on it. Don't want to chew up time. And yeah, but if you've got the latest one, this is the problem with having a lot of different.
Yeah, I checked this the other day. This was the one that came from town attorney.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been a little more. There's been some modification because her building. One of hers, the redlining didn't work on her formatting.
Not since Thursday though, right? Late Thursday.
Yeah, I think no, maybe
I
not.
haven't seen change come through that I was copied on.
You maybe didn't even see it. One of the two that she sent, because there's another one.
Speaking of which, you have the wrong email address for me.
I changed it.
Okay, you got it figured out.
It was Selectmen and Selectmen. I
Yep.
got that's cleaned up now. Thanks. One of the ones she sent back, her formatting, it came through in code. It didn't go
Like
to
a
the PDF,
document,
and
right.
you got the crazy language code. And
Hoopla.
so I had to.
So who wrote these questions?
Which questions?
1, 2, and 3. Let's look at 1 for now.
Why three?
Which is one? What are you calling one?
What's on the proposed ballot?
3 is me.
I
It's 1 and 2.
Don't have that. Shoreland? Okay. This is Shoreland right here. I just gave you guys copies of.
Okay.
And the ballot question, I wrote, it went to her, she hasn't changed it.
No, it doesn't look like she did. A little bit. But not really. It just says, shall the town of Lebanon vote to amend the Lebanon shoreline ordinance? And then
Okay,
it picks
she-
up to eliminate the discrepancy. She just put a better verbiage on the front, but all the rest of the text is the same.
Remove
So
that.
it's
So as
include.
1-1. Shall town of Lebanon vote to amend the Lebanon shoreline zoning ordinance to eliminate the discrepancy between the current ordinance text and map to include all. I get rid of so as. To include. I just put to include all FEMA map
Yeah,
flood hazard.
so as.
Other than that question's okay.
Yep.
I didn't know who put the note on there, so I guess
Which
that
note?
wasn't
I did.
you
I did, yes.
under there. Okay.
Yeah, that's, very often on the ballot, you have little explanatory notes.
Yeah, which we're not supposed to have.
Okay, then, okay.
So that's why I was wondering.
That's thought of that in a hurry. No, that's not her at all. That goes, you're not doing those, right?
That's UPS.
Oh, I bet you those are the absentees.
You're not doing explanatory notes on the ballot?
I
Okay.
think we can't do those, can we? Did you learn that in class? But that's what I've
We didn't go over notes, but it would make sense because
picked
you
up
can't-
somewhere along the last 2.5 years.
You don't want to look like you're
steering.
steering.
Usually it says to check at the office.
It's too late by the time they're voting. All right, well then in that case,
No, at the hearing.
Yeah.
That's why I asked if
yeah.
I had the actual verb, because I need to supply the actual
That-
amendment, which I will. This is the ballot.
that disc matches this piece of paper.
Well, you've already, let's
Do you-
just
but I have
address
the
this one step
actual
at a time.
Amendment with the strike through on
Yes,
here.
you do.
Okay, that's all.
Alright, so on your note though, first part of this item eliminates an inconsistency, that's already addressed up
Right.
in the actual referendum. So we can get rid of that. That's already addressed. It will
Well,
not
I
change.
think that line was the one that I thought was like an explanation that people might not understand. This isn't gonna change how these properties are reviewed from the way they've been reviewed for 7 years now.
But this is something that you can bring up at the public hearing
Yeah,
process.
and I don't think you need that necessarily because
That's
most
fine
of us
by me.
don't. Most of us don't know.
That's fine by me. Yeah.
You know, they're gonna find out when they come before you.
Yep.
So okay.
That's fine by me.
All right. So you guys good with referendum 1? Wording.
Yep.
Good. Referendum 2. Shall the town of Lebanon vote to amend the Lebanon building lot ordinance to clarify the definition of road? I have a problem with this one, Gary.
Me too.
This is a mess. Now,
yeah.
let me.
This question is.
This is to keep me focused, okay?
Yep.
Gary's talking points.
Please, because I still have all this to go through.
All right.
Just teasing.
The reason this exists is both building inspectors now, I spent 2 hours with Mike this morning. The ordinance that we have and have had for many years requires 200 feet frontage on a road for a building lot, for him to issue a permit. There are no definitions in the ordinance, and there is no state statutory standardized definition of road. So it's anybody's guess on an inconsistent and arbitrary basis about all these back roads, whether or not they can use them to satisfy the frontage requirement.
Because what's happening, if I'm wrong, is you have these lots with like right of ways and large acreage of land that are questionably not buildable, which are properties that you're not collecting taxes on if nobody wants to buy and build on them. Am I wrong?
Well, you threw in the
Part of it.
taxes part of it.
That's part of it, but I'm more interested. Just I don't want to fight the battle tonight. I just want to get
No.
the questions right. But this question doesn't even make any sense. It doesn't do anything. What's here? Shall the town of Lebanon vote to amend? It's just if we vote yes, okay, then we vote to amend it. But there's no amendment
It's all right
here.
there. Yeah, it's here.
It's not here.
Well, I don't know what you've got there.
But that's
Ben.
where we gotta. This is what has been written. This is the proposed ballot. So this is what we gotta go over.
Okay, this is your lawyer, and I think she's doing good work, because we got a mess with these building lots.
Yep.
This is the amendment right there, it's all red on 2 pages.
The amendment we provide and
I don't have that. I
Discuss
guess. Let me
that.
see that.
the hearing.
I
Yeah, we
got
don't
no
put the
change.
This is the one that I told you,
Okay. I don't have any
the
changes on the
redlining
lot
came
size.
through all messed up.
Okay.
You should have one that looks like that. Okay, now that's her red
Do you
line.
have one?
Now, but what she's trying to do was achieve what the planning board asked her to do, which was clarify this business of road frontage.
So-
The way she did it, her view, and it's part of what I'm talking about, we have not got an integrated building lot ordinance that you can go to and have the different topics
Yep.
tie together. We've got a pile of little independent pieces that have been passed over the years and sort of stacked up with no work done to make sure they all work together. And we have all kinds of conflicts as a result. The planning board, Roxanne and I primarily, for almost 2 years, worked on a whole building lot ordinance replacement. It was reviewed by Southern Maine Regional Planning. They said, good work, too much, don't try it, too much at once, and you don't have a comprehensive plan to back a lot of it. Feedback from the former CEO said he was speaking for he and the selectmen in informal discussion was whoever it was then, it wasn't this slate, didn't wanna tackle it, didn't wanna get into it, the whole big thing. So that's in the file. However, the problem of this road frontage business continues to be an issue. That's a lot of what we were talking about today. There's a common idea that these lots are grandfathered if they existed, but there's no grandfathering of anything unless it's written into the ordinance.
Correct. So what you're saying is, we're not striking anything.
I'm trying to explain to Ben why. Oh, yeah.
We're just adding these sections. Is that
No,
what you're
there's-
doing?
There's language changes she made. Yeah, and she rewrote this. This isn't what we submitted to her at all. This is what she sent back. This insertion,
Right, we're adding these.
yep.
Okay.
And
We're adding D.
there's a lot of substitutions because the laws had never been updated. The whole ordinance reads with state statutes that are long obsolete. She changed all of those, put in the current ones. State agency was wrong. It doesn't exist, the state agency
That was referenced.
referred to. We got a thing about wells being set back from the sidelines of properties, which is very unusual. Has nothing to do with septic tanks field. That's a plumbing code, the separation of septic and well. However, the town of Lebanon, somewhere along the way, for some reason, passed an ordinance that says any well has to be 50 feet from the property line. And that's in here. It was passed as a separate ordinance, but then it was sort of in the notebook, in your book, it was sort of just glommed in as an amendment to the building lot ordinance. So it was neither chick nor child as far as that goes. So she took that from its separate ordinance provision and put it in as a section within the building lot ordinance. So these two pages
Right.
are what the entire building lot ordinance ends up being.
Okay.
And the changes involve road frontage, the size of the lot, and the well. The movement of the well isn't a change, it just moves it into here. So the actual functional changes. I agree with Ben. I don't think this is good, but it's better than what we've got. However, I can tell you it's going to cause a flack. The reason for that is it's going to be telling a lot of people who think they have buildable lots that they don't.
But it could be
But
telling
the issue
some
is they
people-
don't.
They don't.
They don't. You have no language that tells you that any lot under 2 acres can be built on, and you have no language that the frontage thing qualifies road. They're often related, but there's a lot of separate ones too. I mean, there's a 40-acre flag lot. Flag lot is a term. It's a big back lot that actually owns its access corridor out to, say, the town road. That was done a lot when they sold houses along the road. They keep themselves 50 feet, and in the back they keep the back 40 or whatever. Actually, the ordinance technically, as it exists now, doesn't allow building on that because it hasn't got 200 feet road frontage. But what's a road? So she gave us 2 definitions of road. One is just plain we wanted town road and private road.
Do you know if
Yeah.
this came through as a PDF? Did she send this as a PDF? Did she send this as a Word document?
PDF.
Because I haven't seen this.
Okay.
Okay, so which doesn't mean I don't have it because I couldn't open some of them from my phone. I haven't had
Right.
a chance to get on my computer.
Yeah. This isn't
We
what
need this as a Word then because
This isn't what we sent her at all.
you want to scratch this and work on it for May.
Yeah, that's what I'd do.
Sounds like there's a lot of issues.
Can I
There's-
make a suggestion?
There's 2 points. Let me throw in, if I might.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, you can. It's gonna put one heck of a burden on Mike.
It does. Yeah.
Because what he's gonna have to do, he and I talked about this morning, if we want to start playing it clean, it hasn't been. I mean, I'm not saying anything.
Yep.
Corruption, nobody
Right.
benefited, but they've just past building inspectors have just made it up as they've gone along on a case-by-case basis. People have bought land being told, oh, it's grandfathered.
Yep.
even being told by town officials, it's grandfathered.
Yeah.
No, it isn't.
Yeah.
You
There's a
know,
provision in the law to do it, we never did it.
you never did it.
Gotcha. There's a lot of stuff like that.
That's right. And
What's your suggestion?
My suggestion is this is not one amendment.
No, right?
This is a lot of amendments.
This was
I
a
would
brand new
suggest
ordinance that would
if you're
replace
gonna
all the
make an
language.
amendment, stick with just what's in this referendum, which says to clarify the definition of a road for purposes of compliance with the road frontage requirement. You can either stop there or,
the next phrase
or
addresses the
include
lot
D.
size. Yep.
but this and anything further I wouldn't do.
Well, if you don't,
'Cause
you
you're-
haven't got a legal
At least not
ordinance.
right now.
Everything further is your incorrect
But they're
references
separate
to
amendments,
begin
so
with.
we can include other referendum questions as separate amendments, or there's another option, which I spoke to MMA today.
Good.
And you could do essentially like a mass amendments is what you're doing to this ordinance. You're every time you have red, it's another amendment. So, and that's a lot. So what you could do is, in my email, I wish I could tell you exactly, I could print it right now, but what they basically said was, if it's a comprehensive list of amendments, what you would do is, shall the town of Lebanon vote to, accept this new ordinance,
And
amendments to the blah, blah, blah.
and repeal.
Right. So, but you would say, vote to amend, no, you would say, shall the town of Lebanon vote to enact this ordinance, which is entitled amendments to this ordinance, which is basically a new ordinance
I'm
you're
not going to argue
enacting.
it too far for this reason.
It's a new ordinance.
No, the planning board doesn't have, I'm chairman of the planning board, the planning board doesn't have to deal with these.
Okay.
We deal with subdivisions and shoreline zoning. And subdivisions has a complete set of standards from go that's airtight, properly written, state law based. That's all we have to work with.
But I think this
We
is
did
great.
this.
This is a great way.
We did this at the request of 2 building inspectors.
Right. And I think
And-
it's great and it's necessary. But the way that it's tackled on the ballot
Yep.
just needs to be a little different. That's my only thing.
I would say, please, I do not personally think this is necessarily a good idea if we were starting from scratch, let's say. These are Band-Aids to try to solve problems. It's not a fix. They're Band-Aids to try to solve problems that have plagued 2 building inspectors.
Right.
Now, your Savannah Lane case, Savannah Lane case is an example of what happens without some controls on the definition of a road and who can build on it and everything. So that's your most recent dust up on this. It's fine. We said we would do this. We did a big thing, which is what you're talking about. It would be a complete new
It
amendment.
is. It's a new.
I've got it at home on the
Yeah.
computer and in the file, and Jen's got a case of it.
So
copy
you
of it.
have a totally not band-aiding it, just.
I got a full-blown
Fixing
thing.
it.
I went through North Berwick, Elliott, Berwick, Acton, 3 books on planning I've got, and information from regional planning, and we just took it upon ourselves we had a slow winter. We took it upon ourselves to write a whole new ordinance completely, addressing flag lots, addressing back lots, people's rights or lack of rights to do what they want with their land, all of this based on these other sources.
Right.
And we took it to regional planning for a read-through, and like I said, their idea was it's a real good model to start with, but some of it needs a comprehensive plan or it's not defensible, and it's way too much to rush for whatever vote that was at the
Right.
time. So it went in the file. Brian told us, no, don't try it now. I talked to so-and-so and this and that, and can you fix the roads? That's what this is. As I say, it doesn't make the planning board or me more work or less work, whatever you
Well,
do
so
with it.
it would help Mike if we at least define the roads.
That's what
Is
I was
that what you're
trying to
saying?
flag for. Yeah, that was the whole purpose of this.
So,
I'm real careful not to get personal ownership.
Have
of
you
this
seen
stuff
this
either
already,
if I
Mary?
write it.
No, this is my first looking at it. Are you talking about this red?
no, this.
Yes,
Is there one on here for grandfathering?
no,
Okay, so maybe we need to do that.
It's half of the first one. Half of your,
Number 2, I just cut it out of there.
it's the
well, the pre-existing non-conforming lots,
yes.
that's under referendum too, but there's not,
There's not a separate one that
Right.
only shows that.
I read that different as that's not grandfathering. The way this was written, which you haven't seen, is, and it didn't ask
Right
a
here.
question, and it left it hanging and never actually told us what we're voting on. Shall the town of Lebanon vote to amend the Lebanon building lot ordinance to clarify the definition of road for purposes of compliance with the road frontage requirements for a building lot, and to specify criteria under which pre-existing non-conforming lots may be used as building lots?
right, I would say that that addresses any quote-unquote grandfathering, pre-existing non-conforming lots.
But according to what this was, I'm going back to where we started, okay, that would make all these lots that are non-conforming
As
as
of August 27th,
unbuildable.
1973.
because they don't comply. That's how
Correct.
that's worded. And I'm not ready to pull that.
They already are.
Right, so here's my proposal.
But what if they have been built
No,
upon?
but, no, she did research on all the ordinances and revisions and amendments.
But this wasn't even a question. This doesn't even give you, you don't even know what you're voting on. Because if I go in there, okay, shall the town of Lebanon vote to amend? Sure, why not? What am I voting on? What are we amending? I'm not giving you free green light to go write something. It needs to be here what it is, you know what I mean?
Right.
So
Usually what I've seen
Well,
is-
let me finish, because
yeah.
I want to get through this. Shall the town of Lebanon vote to amend the Lebanon building lot ordinance to clarify the definition of road for purposes of compliance with the road frontage requirements for a building lot, to comply with the street definition according to the same definition as set forth in the subdivision guide?
That's, the
Yeah.
attorney wrote all of that. She wants to key it to the subdivision guide. What I'm
Which we
trying
talked
to
about
say,
last week.
she's targeting, trying to build a good unified,
And you're
comprehensive,
getting rid of this.
all-inclusive ordinance.
But isn't that your goal? To
My goal?
Yeah, the planning
Planning
board's goal
board.
is to define street, road, and that would do it.
The reason the lawyer has written this up the way she did, and what you're looking at there is her work.
Right, and like we said, that's many, many, many amendments.
Yep.
So if we took a bite at the apple, one piece
And we
at a
just do
time,
the roads first.
is that what, would that satisfy what the planning board needs and what building,
Well,
codes
what Mike
needs?
really needs.
Well, it hits, well, I suppose, yeah, because you've already got your own definition.
Sometimes in shoreland you run into it,
Yeah,
but the shoreland zoning ordinance also, because it's taken on the state model, has all kinds of criteria and guidelines.
Do you?
What
did you
doesn't
read
is that, well, we haven't got the map in here, but that whole big green field on that map in there,
yeah.
it's probably 80% of the land mass in town.
But do you follow what I'm saying though?
Yeah, but
The
do
way
you
The answer is
put
yes.
to comply with the street, with the state?
With the
Sorry.
street definition, yeah, to cross out the last
Yeah,
part.
I did.
Yeah, to comply with the street definition according to the same definition as set forth in the subdivision guide.
Okay.
Now I know what I'm voting on.
Right.
The way that was written, there's nothing there.
I'm sorry, let me just
Yeah, that's
get this
fine.
from you.
That's because it was there, she
Well,
substituted her own.
we got too
yeah.
many, we got more than, Sue wrote that, I guess, I'm assuming. And trying to do the best she could with what we had. And like I say, I didn't have this, so she had the previous version, which is what I had here somewhere. So she tried to write something, but it doesn't give you anything that you're voting on.
But this is good. In shoreland. As set forth in the,
As set forth in the subdivision guide, which is what you guys have.
Yeah, and she used that because it is a local reference, and then she ends up with all the roads in town.
There's a section down
Having
there.
the same standard.
Too, if you wanna add it.
oh, that's great. Section 12,
Dot 2B.
okay, so we can redo that. And then that will at least tackle this first part.
You're missing one part of that if you do it that way.
The
You're
grandfather.
missing the,
No, on
Oh.
the roads.
What are we
Okay.
missing?
You're missing the part that allows, what we call private roads, they don't have to be completed to subdivision standards.
Hmm.
They don't have to be paved according, subdivision requires
Is that book up there?
a whole roadbed
What book?
Subdivision.
specs. Right here.
I don't know that I got a current one in here. Yeah, that was current.
That requires, that everything, the roadbed, the base stone, the drainage material, the finished gravel, one lift, of course, pavement,
Yeah, I think it's a lot.
then a finish one.
Yep.
And, the builders have to go through the pavement before they can sell house lots, and that only makes all the sense in the world, because otherwise you're heading back towards clusters of houses on dirt roads in the outback.
Exactly.
I guess I'm really too, because you're right, and let's
The,
scrap this one.
there's
Let's
two,
scrap this for
there's
this.
two parts
till
to
May.
this.
Yeah, I think,
The other part is though, what happens if
Too big, too many questions.
What happens if I don't wanna do a subdivision, but I need frontage? And
It is too
the
much.
compromise is, for a lot of good reasons, you still need the right of way width, and you need a good solid road bed, but we're not gonna make you put finished asphalt on it and basic and all of
My
that.
example the other night, a week ago, if I sold off, this corner of my 20 acres, and I
Yep.
sold off 5 years later this corner of my, and 10 years later I decide maybe I moved away,
Right.
maybe I come back. You know what? I still own all this.
Well, there's where you got a problem, and I had
That's
this
where
on
we
my
have the
talking,
issue.
if you're gonna scrap it, there's no point in talking about it now. But this doesn't fix flag lots and back lots.
Yeah.
It doesn't fix them.
So I think I need to talk about
And they're
that.
all over
and
town.
have maybe an overhaul.
On the other hand, they can't legally build on it. He's got one right now.
Yep.
Guy's got 40 acres of land, he's got a 50-foot right of way, if not 60, comes out and hooks onto a town road. The ordinance does not allow him to build on that 40 acres. Now that's absurd. I think it's
Because it
absurd.
doesn't meet the 250. Right.
Correct.
200.
So the big
200, I'm
revamp
sorry,
that we
I'm sorry,
did,
200.
it had a whole section, flag lots and back lots. Flag lot is when you own out to the road. A back lot is your access, is a right of way across somebody else's property. And that was all worked up, we cribbed it from other towns and integrated it and then checked it against the planning laws and.
Yeah, I was coming up to your meetings back in my first year
Yeah.
and stuff like that, and then I got buried. Because
So-
it definitely is more communication that we need
I-
between all of us to get this one pulled off. This is a big bite of the apple. I would say scrap that whole thing for now, because I know it's going to make it hard on him. It's not any harder than it's
Well,
been.
he's got a solution, that's what I counseled him today, it's just my opinion. The right thing for him to do is deny every single one of them, but tell them they can go to the appeals board for a variance, and if they can make their case and the appeals board goes along with it, fine. In other words, you don't step right off into the deep water of a lawsuit.
Right? No, I'm with you. Yeah.
The appeals board is there for a reason.
Right.
So
I
I threw it on the table. You want to scrap it for now?
Yep.
Now, my thought was if people get wind of the fact that everybody's brother is gonna have to go get a variance and maybe not get it in order to build, maybe they'll support a well-written
Building ordinance. Yep,
ordinance.
that's a great point.
So, like I said, I'm not fighting for this either way.
One shot. That's how we lost the comprehensive plan years ago. Too much.
And,
Number 3, shall the town of Lebanon vote to amend the shoreland zoning ordinance, section 16C, which currently specifies a fee to read, this application will be approved by a fee
Oh,
of
she
outlined
said
in
pull,
the-
that's supposed to be pulled,
What are you talking about?
the fee.
That's what I'm trying to do. Pull the fees. That's
No,
what these questions are.
Ballot issue.
What are you talking
On the
about?
shoreline zoning. Roxanne chased that through the attorney, and the attorney responded to Roxanne that she thought it would be better than to brain cramp, include it in the revamping of the shoreline zoning when we learn what's necessary to comply with the new state program.
Okay, last week what we all discussed was that it was
A fee and an escrow. The
uh,
lawyer doesn't
yeah.
like that. The fee is, now, I'm chairing the board that has to administer that. I'm comfortable with the $50 fee because it is in the ordinance on the application, and the appendix is part of the ordinance that the town approved. That
Yeah.
didn't get added on.
Yeah.
So Roxanne had it, and she's right. I
When
mean,
we walked away from the table, though, it was to be set by the select board, is what Mary had said at the time. It was gonna go on the fee schedule.
I didn't hear any of that.
My intent was to pull every fee out of every ordinance that probably has not been addressed, a lot of them since the 80s, to
Well,
put them on a
stay
fee
away from the
schedule.
subdivision ordinance. You'll get in a lot of trouble with trying to figure it out, because that's part of the guide, and that was revised a while ago, like 2 years ago.
I don't think I have them on there. Waste
No.
disposal, mass gathering,
No.
special amusement. I have shoreland, building, zoning, massage, dog.
Yeah.
Waste, mass, gathering, special amusement. And that's it for fees.
There's a lot
So I
of
didn't pull-
legal reasons for the fees for subdivision being in the subdivision
I
ordinance.
didn't pull
Because
subdivision.
they have to factor it into their costs when they're doing it. But the shoreline zoning, the escrow thing is a good idea. In time, we're gonna want it. We haven't used one yet. I don't think it's critical at this time to wait till June to talk about it more. And
To
the
talk
50
about pulling the
Scrap
fee,
it.
Scrap, yeah,
Scrap free.
just take it right out.
I just,
We've got the fee.
yeah, I hate to, if we are trying to create a fee schedule, I hate to have some things in a schedule and some things not.
No, I agree.
Oh, just list it, list it.
I'm not proposing to change the fee at all.
Yeah.
I'm proposing to pull it from the ordinance and put it on a fee schedule. I'm not proposing to change any fees at all. That is not what I'm doing.
Right, but what you're saying is different than what you're saying that Roxanne chased down is different than what Mary said in the meeting last week to me, that we had discussed. I don't know if you guys remember that or not, but, so I'd have to call Mary and chase that down
Yeah.
myself,
Yeah, right.
and I can't get you an answer on that
Mar-
tonight.
I just tell you though, Roxanne forwarded me Mary's email, was that, Mary wanted to see it worked into an all-over.
Why wasn't I CC'd on that, I wonder?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Roxanne did that one, and the conclusion became just remove it from the ballot, so I didn't bother chasing it anymore. That was another one of this was